Welcome to the Marketing Mentor Podcast with Elise Bennin, founder of marketing-mentor.com and author of 7 books, including The Creative Professional's Guide to Money. Since 2008, Elise has been interviewing her clients and other successful professional creatives who are doing what it takes to stop the feast or famine syndrome, get better clients, and command the fees they deserve, and sharing the nuts and bolts of what they've learned so you can do it too. You can find more at marketing-mentor.com. And now, here's Elise Bennin.
This is the 3rd podcast in the Experienced Newbie series and the 2nd podcast interview with Lisa Mullis, who gave me the idea for this series in the first place. Now, Experienced Newbies is an idea I've been talking about lately in my speaking engagements, and people are coming up to me afterwards and reinforcing the idea that there are many people out there who are starting over in something new and feeling insecure about it and somehow not carrying over any of the confidence they had built up over a whole career of expertise. And this idea is based on Lisa's mid-career makeover, because if you recall from the first podcast episode, after selling her interest in a communications firm she started 16 years ago, she is now in year 1 of building a brand new one called Paraphrase Communications. Now, Lisa and I agreed that each time we talk, we would assess the state of the latest iteration of her elevator pitch. You know, how she says what she does. And you'll hear in this 2nd episode that it has definitely improved. And we also talked in depth about how she is building up her online presence and her social media and her email list without really having much of an audience yet. So listen and then try it for yourself. Hello, Lisa. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, Elise. Thanks for talking with me again. Glad to be here.
You're welcome. And so this is our 2nd conversation in the Experienced Newbie podcast and blog post series that you initiated. You reached out to me and said, I want to talk about this. And I said, yes, you're not alone. That's definitely a good idea. So begin, if you would, by introducing yourself and talking about what this is that we're doing. And keep in mind that we also said in the first one that your elevator pitch, how you introduce yourself, will change and evolve and hopefully get better every single time.
Yes, great. So my name is Lisa Mullis, and I use design and writing to help conscious companies and causes create brand messaging that really elevates their work and makes it visible and shareable and able to be acted upon.
So let me just comment, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Because I can't help myself sometimes.
I thank you.
That is definitely better than the first time and clearer, but a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah. No, I know it still needs work, especially when translating from writing that versus speaking it, I think can be tricky.
You might need 2 versions, a written one and a spoken one.
Yes.
All right. So what are we doing here?
So we are talking about just, I think, the evolution of where I've been since the last time we talked, in trying to, make this shift and now I'm at the stage where I am talking with a number of clients. In fact, it's been really quite busy, which has been great. But I'm also at the same time wanting to gain more exposure and trying to figure out how to do that. And also just, dealing with kind of a lot of the technology around doing that, trying to, I think as many of us try to manage the overwhelm of when you think about, more exposure and growing an audience in all the many, many, many ways that could happen, just trying to sort through that and figure out what really makes sense.
Give us some details. What are you dealing with? Are you talking about an email list? What technology are you talking about?
Well, okay, so I'm thinking both with my email list as well as with social media, being two ways. So as I think about now that I've launched my website and starting to build more of an online presence, now I'm kind of thinking about, okay, what are some of the basics with the social media? Well, of course, there's Facebook and Twitter, and it feels, again, I'm kind of in that place where I'm like, well, I'm starting over. So whereas I used to have some activity on Twitter and Facebook with my old company, I have nothing right now. And that feels odd. I'm in this place of like publishing things but nobody's paying attention because I don't really have an audience there yet. And so I've been thinking about just what the purpose is, I guess, of trying to grow some presence in some of those places when you don't yet have a group of people who might be seeing that. And I think it goes back to why writing and why doing things like presentations. It's the commitment, I guess. It's the commitment and kind of getting in that habit of putting stuff out there, even when it might be going into a seeming void right now. So
let me tell you my perspective on that, because you're talking about content marketing, number one, and a lot of, and I think people think about social media as a marketing tool in and of itself, but I see it as a delivery platform depending on what you're doing. So, it's a way to distribute and disseminate content, blog posts, podcasts, articles, etc. But it's also a way to connect one-on-one with people and then maybe take a longer conversation offline or via email. But social media in itself, to me, isn't necessarily, it's a marketing tool. It's a way to use material and a way to connect with people, or a way to use technology to connect with people and disseminate information. So this idea of, do you need a lot of people? You used to have a lot of people. I don't know how many you had. I'd be curious, to share that information if you want to, but you're starting over and you're starting with nothing, or maybe just a little bit. And my question as you were talking was, is it about quantity? Is that part of how you're thinking about it, or is there some other way you're thinking about it?
Well, I mean, part of it has to do a little bit with quantity, but I think it's more about quality. I mean, who cares if you've got a huge audience and nobody is engaged, or you've got a lot of people who are kind of signing off or signing out, before you can have any of those conversations. So it is more about having an engaged audience. And so, but at the same time, I think, one of my goals for my work is to work with more people and do more education type of work. And so that would, there is a goal there to have, be exposed to more people in that regard, but it's got to be the right people. And I want to do it the right way with, getting people who are really, truly interested in what I have to share and that I can really help.
And in our first podcast conversation, we talked about how you present past work on this new website, or to new clients who don't know anything about your history. So how do you apply that to the technology, the social media, the email list? Are you bringing any of them over? Can you do that, or what?
Yeah, I guess in terms of like what you said about using social media as a way to as just another channel to share content. I have a webinar coming up. Actually, it was scheduled for last week, and we had some technical problems. We had a power outage and stuff right in the middle of the presentation, which is kind of a whole nother story. But I did use, like, I posted that on my Facebook page. I tweeted about that coming, that was coming up. So I guess in that regard, yeah, I'm trying to sort of cross reference, people to my social media who might have seen it elsewhere. Does that kind of get at what you were asking?
Yes and no. I'm also thinking about, how many people were on your Twitter list when you were at Blue Marble, and are you reaching out to or following any of those people to bring them over to your new Paraphrase Communications?
Good question. I don't have an exact number of what we had at my former company. It wasn't a huge following. And I know I have not done anything in terms of reaching out to people on, who are on my list now via Twitter. Although I guess I'm doing a little bit of that. I'm starting to follow people, and I just haven't put any attention there yet because I've been working on other things. But, and the email list was really kind of the first place to start for me, because this was a group of people, that I've already been in contact with via email with my former company. And I did have a small list that I carried over from that. And so I approached that by looking at, kind of really looking really closely at that list. Who's on this? Are these people that some of those people had been on the list for several years, and I needed to kind of go through and clean the list was the first thing to do. But I also was really, then I put together an email to ask people if they wanted to hear from me, continue hearing from me. And so I was really deliberate about that. And I wanted it to feel very personable, and that it was, and sincere ask. And so after I had kind of gone through and cleaned that list, I did send out an email, and it was, there was nothing designed for it or anything like that. I wanted it to feel just like a regular, close to like an email you'd normally get from one-on-one from someone. And so that was my first attempt to really kind of...
But it was one-on-one, or it was...
No, it was through my email marketing platform. Okay. Mm-hmm. But it was a personalized... it was personalized in terms of,
the salutation.
Said hello, person's name, and it was a very heartfelt kind of message from me.
And how did people respond?
Yeah, really well. That was I got really great response from that. In fact, I ended up with 4 new. I also gave, I should back up and say, I also gave people the option to unsubscribe. I said, this really was the opportunity. It's like, if you'd like to stay, if you'd like to continue hearing from me, you don't need to do anything. If you don't want to hear from me, here's the link to unsubscribe. And also, if you know of anyone else who, might be interested in what I have to share, here's that link as well. And I did have a few unsubscribes. I think I went out to 150-ish people. I'll have to look at my exact numbers. And I had about 5 unsubscribes. And then I had 4, I had like 6 people directly respond. And out of those 6, there were 4 that were like, oh, I really need your help. Could we set up a time to talk? And so a couple of those have already resulted in some project work.
And that was unexpected, right?
Yeah, totally unexpected. That wasn't the intention for sending out the email. I really just wanted to know, like, of the people on the list, who still would want to hear from me, and start there. Because getting back to your original question about quantity versus quality, I do feel like it's more about the quality and making sure this is a group of people that you can help and who want to hear from you.
But this just proves my point. Thank you, Lisa, about the effect and the effectiveness of email marketing, because even if you don't reach out asking for work or opportunities, just the reaching out triggers that response.
Yeah, like I said, because that wasn't the intention of the email, and I was surprised about that, and obviously pleased that is what happened. So, yeah.
Good. All right. You know, Lisa, I think we should wrap it up here. And I know there are other things we want to talk about. Well, let's do that in the third conversation, which will happen soon, I'm sure. But tell people where they can find you online.
Okay, you can see me at paraphrasecom, COMM.com. And if you want to follow me on Facebook, I'm at paraphrasecom, COMM, and same with Twitter.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And we will be in touch soon.
Thank you, Elise.
Thanks for listening. Now go try out what you've learned. If you like what you hear, you can go to marketing-mentor.com and sign up for Elise's quick tips from Marketing Mentor and her free 30-minute mentoring session to get your burning questions answered. Check out what's on sale in the Marketing Mentor shop, like the Pick a Niche Kit, proposal bundles for designers and copywriters, and the 30 Minutes a Day marketing plan. Elise is also the host